Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of Susan Lopresti Wellness, Mind, Body, and Soul, the podcast where we explore the highs, the lows, and everything in between when it comes to a woman's life, her health, and all aspects of navigating the midlife landscape. I'm your host, Susan Lopresti, and today I am very excited with the guest that I have on today. I met Renee Reisch on Alignable, which is a networking platform for coaches and business people. And I was looking at her profile, and the first thing that really jumped out at me was she wrote that she helps women to find their voice. And that just attracted me because I had my own personal experience with losing my voice. And I know how difficult it could be emotionally to getting your voice back. So today, Renee is here and she's going to go through her story of what happened to her and how she made this incredible transformation back to wellness and a complete transformation of her life. So I want to start by giving you some information about Renee. She is a force to be reckoned with in the realm of inspiration and personal growth. With over a decade of experience cultivating and inspiring individuals and teams, her energy is undeniable. After a 25-year career with one company, Renee made a bold decision and embarked on a new path, one driven by her passion for professional training and speaking. That part of her journey started as an instructor at WHW, which stands for Women Helping Women. It's a nonprofit organization where she donated her time to help the unemployed and the underemployed find and retain employment. Through her extensive experience in the corporate world, Renee discovered a fundamental truth. To drive progress and increase profit, you must first invest in people. This fueled her mission to inspire and empower individuals, encouraging them to unlock their true potential. Her dedication to uplifting others earned her numerous awards, and she consistently led her teams to the number one position. Renee's life took a dramatic turn when she was faced with a devastating illness that robbed her of her voice. Several years later, she also experienced the profound loss of her best friend and her father. Rather than giving up, she drew inspiration from their example to never give up. That legacy now guides Renee in her own life and in her efforts to serve others. Today, Renee stands as a 4 times number one best-selling author, the visionary founder of Finding Your Voice Network and magazine, and a trusted woman's life and leadership coach. Her unwavering passion lies in assisting women who struggle with self-worth, their voices silenced, and their potential untapped. She firmly believes that each individual possesses the power to cultivate steadfast confidence. Through her transformative coaching program, she guides them to unlock their hidden potential. Renee's impact extends beyond one-on-one coaching. She conducts empowering workshops and delivers captivating speeches on important topics such as leadership, confidence, and communication, areas that foster personal growth. Her commitment to creating an environment of respect and inclusion allows her clients to soar to new heights, both personally and professionally. Renee has been recognized and honored for her outstanding contributions. She is a recipient of the 2023 WOW Women of Worth Award, 2023 Women of Heart Global Award, a 2021 WAW Honorary Award from the Woman Appreciating Women Hall of Fame, and a 2021 Humanitarian Award for All Women Rank, an acknowledgement of her unwavering dedication to making a difference. To learn more about Renee, I will be putting all her links where you can find her and obtain her book in the notes of the podcast. So without further ado, Renee, welcome to my podcast. I'm so grateful to have you here with me today, and I'm excited for my listeners to hear your story.
Well, Susan, first of all, thank you for the introduction and, for allowing me to share my voice on your podcast today. It really means a lot, and I'm just really grateful. So thank you.
So am I. Thank you. My pleasure to have you. So Renee, start from the beginning and tell me your story. When you were in corporate world, what kind of a position were you holding? What was your job title? What were you doing? And take it from there.
So, I really worked my way up the corporate ladder, like every rung of the corporate ladder. I started as a Christmas hire, then I was part-time, then I was asked to go full-time, then I was just every which area in that, I guess, picking up the popcorn trail, right? And driving up that corporate ladder. I did. And I ultimately ended up getting like 5 different departments, multi-million-dollar teams. And then I was also given the company initiatives. So big corporate things that, they wanted to achieve, different positions in there. And I had a lot of pressure that was put upon me. I know we always put the pressure upon ourselves, but I felt it because they kept giving me more and more. They never gave me more pay, and I never asked because I felt if they thought I deserved it, they would give it to me. That's your self-worth right there. If someone's going to give you more to do, you turn around and say, show me the money. Like, where is that? And I never asked, I never received it. And I just kept working, working, working. And I got so inundated with that and overwhelmed with it, not even realizing I was getting overwhelmed. I was just like diving in head first. Then I ended up getting really sick. And in 2013, I got so sick that I was taken out on a leave of absence. I had no voice and I had sores on my vocal cords. It was the Christmas season, so it's very busy and hectic. So I had all my regular teams plus a lot of Christmas hires that were added onto my multi-million-dollar teams. And the expectations that were placed upon me within those teams alone just compounded by the extra bodies that I was now responsible for and the goals that were given, plus the company's, expectations of all of those things that were also placed upon me. And I never complained. I just did my job and I kept, I go to bed late, wake up early. And it was like that hamster wheel and it was like spinning faster and faster. And I didn't even realize I was because I was going so fast at warp speed. I mean, I barely took time out to eat. I was like, okay, I could eat in 15 minutes. I can get back to work. I didn't work till the late shift. I could stay up till 1 or 2 in the morning and it's 5 hours of sleep, 4 hours of sleep. I could do it, and then I would get up early, get up at 5, go. It was like that. It was again and again and again. And my best friend, who's now one of my angels in heaven, would yell at me, she said, slow down in a, in a very, a bigger voice. And I didn't listen. Like, no, I have to do this. I have to do that. What I had to do was listen and slow it down. Like, no, there's so much I've got to do. There's no time to slow down. And then there's a bigger force around us always that sometimes puts the kibosh on what you think you have to do versus what you end up doing. And she was right. I needed to slow down. I needed to take time out for me, but I never did because of everything I had to do.
Yes.
And I got very ill, so much so that I ended up in the ER twice. And the last trip, the doctor said I was so contagious I could no longer be with the public. And shortly thereafter, my voice totally disappeared. So somebody once asked me on a show, and it was another podcast, and I don't remember really these words, but they said, do you remember your last words that you spoke? I said, I really don't. So that's a great question because nobody had ever asked me before my voice completely went out. I don't remember. It was a very painful experience. I don't just mean mentally, because being isolated, because I was so contagious, I was told I could no longer be with the public. But it was the emotional and the physical, along with the mental pain that I experienced. The emotional, because I couldn't be with my best friend, my family. I was locked out of the world, looking out of a window like a hospital window, four walls around me, no help in sight, no hope in sight. My best friend would come over, thank God, with food that she made or thought I could swallow, because quite frankly, I couldn't swallow my own saliva because it hurt too much. You don't know how many times a day you blink and someone says, how many times I don't know. Until you can't, you're aware when it's happening. It's those automatic responses are what we swallow. You don't know how many times a day I swallow until you can't. You're well aware when it's happening. So it was a very devastating time because I was isolated, because I couldn't be with my family or my best friend, and because Western medicine was unable to help me. So there wasn't like they said, we're going to put you on this. We'll see how this works and then we'll check back. Or call us in, 10 days after you take this antibiotic. Well, there was no antibiotic because it was a virus, a viral infection that was in my throat, but also in my body because I had a fever that was trying to fight the infection, but couldn't. So every day there was a fever, and every day, 24/7, there was tremendous pain in my throat where I couldn't even swallow. I wasn't able to eat or drink. I wasn't have some tea and honey or have some chicken noodles. When you can't swallow, it doesn't matter what you're putting in there. You can't swallow, period, the end. And I talk about this part of the journey because I want them to know that no matter where you are, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I often say what you go through, you grow through. It's not to be done alone. This journey in life is not to be done alone. No matter who you are, where you are, what letter you have before your name or after your name, you're still human. And we all still experience life. It's ups, it's downs, it's trials and tribulations. It's all there. There's also time to sit back and to observe and to learn. And when you're going through the muck, it's not like, let me see, what is this teaching me? Right then you're like, oh my God, it's like, this is horrible. And you're like feeling it in every which way. But take the time to really lean in, listen, and learn because there are lessons in everything. I continue to learn them. They're not always pretty, they're not always fun, but they're there to learn from. And when we do that, we can become the best student and CEO of our own life. Yeah. It's not getting an award or an accolade that you're looking for. You're just growing in your own soul, in your own way, and becoming a better person because of it. Not that you have to go through that much pain like I did to grow, but apparently I needed to go through that in order to grow because I didn't stop and listen to anybody. I wouldn't. I'm like, no, I got to keep going, keep going. But as I said earlier, when you're stopped in your tracks, like the screeching halt on your life, you don't really have an option because there's always a choice. I really didn't have much of a choice because I didn't listen to the millions of times I was supposed to listen. I never did. I was like plowing through to go to the next thing, next thing, next thing, and running, but never stopping to listen. And when you do that and you let things flow the way they're supposed to, you learn a lot more. And, it's really, sometimes it hurts as you go through it, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. And there's a reason when you don't always understand at the time, I'm going to say, like, why would this happen? Why would somebody experience so much pain? What kind of, punishment is this? And it wasn't a punishment. It was something that, you need to sometimes learn it the hard way. And because I didn't listen, it was a hard way. 'Cause that's the only way I would listen.
Right.
I didn't listen to anybody else. People who loved me, I didn't listen. I knew they loved me. I'm like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. I have to do this. But when you get so
body
sick,
said, I'm going to
body
shut
screaming,
down. Yes.
screaming at me
Yeah.
until I had to stop and listen. I finally did. And so it was losing my voice, Susan, that actually began that journey, finding my voice. And I really say coming back home to myself. I think of it like Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. Like, she was thrust into this land of Oz, and then you had the different characters, the scarecrow looking for a brain, the tin man looking for a heart, the lion looking for the courage, and Toto, the trusted companion. You know, we all are those characters, but where are you in that journey? Because Dorothy didn't need to go to Oz to get the ruby slippers from the Wicked Witch of the West and go there to get her way back home to Kansas. She had that power within her the whole time. The scarecrow looking for a brain, the smartest one there. He had a lot of the answers. The Chin Man looking for the heart. He cried so much Dorothy had to oil him with the oiling can. The lion looking for courage. Oh, who leapt in front of the Wicked Witch of the West? The lion, the one looking for courage. So the things that they were all looking for outside were actually within. And it's really a metaphor for our own lives. We always look outside to get that thing. But the answer really, it lies within. And if we take time and slow down and stop and lean in and listen and learn, the answers really are there. You don't need a GPS to come home to yourself. It's there. You're here. It's running, those maps where you're going to a mall or something and it says you are here.
Yeah.
Here. You are here. You don't have to look outside to come home to who you are. But so often we look at society, we scroll through social media, and we are, downplaying our own life. Oh, look at what this one did. Look what that one did. Look where they are. And look where I am. This sucks. This stinks. It doesn't suck. It doesn't stink. It's where you're meant to be. Like, how could you say this is where I'm meant to be? This is in a horrible position. How could you tell me that? You're not going to be there for a long period of time. You're going to come out of it. Start taking some small action steps. Something different than the same thing you're doing. Because it's, the definition of insanity, doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Take some small move, some small pivot, something different that you can move forward in. I love to get out in nature, and nature to me is nurturing. Everybody's different. Do something that you really love. What is it that lights your soul on fire? What is it you really enjoy? And I'm not talking about drinking or drugs that mask something else.
Right.
That's not the go-to cure. That's something that's covering something else. Whatever the drug of choice is, whether it's, sex, drugs, rock and roll, whatever that is, whatever that drug of choice is that people overindulge in, food,
Yeah.
over exercising, under exercising. There's moderation, and there's like, I have to do this, I have to do that. Yes, exercise is great. Healthy eating is great. Exercise is great. But are you beating your body up because you're angry or you're frustrated or you're ticked off at someone and you're like, I don't care anymore. I'm just going to do this. And you're going to the extreme in one way or the other as a punishment. What is it about, really? What is really going on? And when you sit down and think about it, you'll find the answers. And it's what I do in my coaching. It's why I developed what I talked about that in a minute, but what I did with the blueprint, the voice blueprint, it's why I wrote the book. It's a journey. Finding your voice, unlock your chains, and unleash your greatness.
So let me
If the chains, I was going to say, it's the chains we bind ourselves up in, and it's the greatness we also have.
So while you were homesick, isolated, all by yourself, did you get like this revelation about that I need to change my life? And did you realize that your illness was associated with your hectic lifestyle? Did you at some point make that connection that it was about that lifestyle that you had?
Oh, Susan, it would have been so much easier if I realized it then. If I knew now what I knew that if I knew yeah. If I knew then what I know now, it would have been so much better. But I wasn't meant to know it then. I was meant to go through it so I could grow through that. I didn't. I really didn't. I wasn't spiritual. I didn't, people say, well, you go within, journal, to that. I didn't. I didn't know from any of that. Meditate, listen to the I didn't do any of it. I didn't know from it. I wasn't like spiritually awake at that
Yeah.
point. So, I didn't do anything like that. I didn't even read a book or anything. I was just in so much pain and distress that I just wanted, if I could have like unzipped, that movie Cocoon from years ago.
Yes.
They like, they had their souls, like they left the physical and they like were flying around. They came back in and then they were the older people again, hard to move around, but then they were free. If I could have unzipped my skin and just like flown away, I don't believe I would have come back because it was too painful. It was too painful to live. I didn't want to live anymore. I went into that deep, dark depression and just wanted God to take me home, his home, not my body of home,
Right.
because it was just too distressful and stressful. I don't know if distressful is a word. It was too distressing and stressful uh, at that point. So I didn't want to live. I didn't want to survive it. I wanted to just go away and not come back. And when I kept waking up, albeit different times of the day or night, I just wanted to go back to bed every time I woke up. But I would wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning because I must have swallowed. And that pain would wake me up. So I knew there was, a greater purpose, not at that point, but years later, I did realize it. Good question. I
So
wish I
when
would have
did
known
you
that.
have this awakening? Was it after you did recover that?
Oh, it was years later. It
Yeah.
was so the illness took place. People might say, what did she have? It was viral pharyngitis, inflammation. I think itis is inflammation. So it was inflammation around my pharynx, my vocal cords. My throat was inflamed and had sores all over my vocal cords. So that alone was tremendous pain. And that was 2013. It took about a year for me to fully regain the use of my voice. I was sent to a vocal coach several months into the illness when doctors thought it was permanent damage, that I may never speak again. They took about 20 vials of blood in 3.5, 4 months. And about, I don't know, maybe 6 months in, I was sent to a vocal coach. And before that, they sent me to the doctor to see if it was permanent. When they said no, that's when they sent me to the coach to start retraining my vocal cords. Just like when you go to the gym, let's say you haven't been to the gym in a while, and then you go lift up the weights, 30, 40, 50 pounds. Oh, this is what I did last time I was here. And you think you can just do it. And you're like, oh my God, how am I going to lift this? What happened? Well, you didn't use those muscles, so they atrophied. My vocal cords atrophied. They weren't in use for so long. So once we discovered it wasn't permanent, that was my hallelujah moment because I thought they told me it may be permanent. I was sent to the coach week after week, day after day. I was like hitting the gym of training for my vocal cords. And I was Googling things, to try to speed up the process of learning to speak again. And you can't really speed up what is meant to take a certain amount of time. I did incorporate other exercises I was learning as I was going through it to try to help myself along the journey. But it did take close to a year to fully get it back. It would, like a rubber band, I would speak and then it would go up. It would literally go, gone. It would just, as I was speaking, it would, and then if I was to get stressed or upset in my speaking, nothing came out anymore. So the stress of whatever was going on around me that I was embody it took hold of my vocal cord and it would leave. The voice would go again. I'm like, oh my God, every little upset would stress that.
So stress really played a role in losing your
Emotions.
voice, getting sick.
It was, I believe it was emotions. Like, so I think even to this day, I'm going to say, because that was 2013, 2014, the physical loss of my voice, I believe manifested from the metaphor of my life. That people pleasing, the fear of judgment, looking for outside validation for my own inner worth, all of those things that I was looking for, that I was people pleasing, that I was doing on a very consistent basis, that took hold of my own voice. Because I never spoke up for myself until I no longer could.
Yeah. Yeah. When you don't speak up for yourself, it's not a good thing.
It was a horrible thing.
Yeah.
So from that pain came my purpose. Again, to your point earlier, I didn't know that was going to be a purpose. I thought I was going to end up in retail my whole life. 25 years, it's a quarter of a century. It's not like, oh, I wasn't about to go get another job because I didn't know what I would do after 25 years of doing. I made what I was doing who I was being. That was like one of the same. There was no, this is me at work, this is me off of work. I was that person. But that's not really who I ever was.
Do you think that it's more like, as far as being afraid to speak up, is more of a woman thing than like a man? And talking from like a work perspective.
Yeah. For me, I can't speak for every woman, even having a title of an executive title and running multi-million dollar teams, there was the recurring tape playing in my head of not being good enough. I didn't think anything I ever did was good enough. The more I did, the more was expected. The more I succeeded, the more was expected. So nothing was ever good enough. And I took that as being, I'm not good enough. I made it inward. If this isn't good enough, if I didn't meet a goal or an expectation, that I am a human being, as a human being, suck. I am no longer good enough to exist. I've got to always excel at everything I do, or else I'm not good. I'm not good enough to run the race of humanity. I just am not that good of a person.
That's a lot of
I
pressure.
made that. It's a lot of pressure. It
That's
really is.
exhausting in itself to have that mentality.
It was a horrible mentality, but that was my mentality. If my goals aren't met, and this is what the company expectation is, and I'm running all these teams, and if I didn't meet something in some area, because I had a lot of areas, so it wasn't just one, it was million and multi teams and company initiatives, everything I'm saying, I had all of it dumped on me. I had to just keep going and running, as I said, plowing through until I couldn't. And I never felt like I was good enough. And then if I would speak and people would silence me, I would feel like this little girl being yelled at, and I would like go within and like literally like a snail. When the snail's out of its shell and then you tap on the shell, it goes within. If I was silenced in some way, I went within. I no longer was in part of a conversation. I didn't want to talk anymore. If someone got upset with me or something I said, I withdrew. I completely withdrew because, oh, somebody wasn't happy with what I said. I'm not going to speak in this conversation anymore. I'm not going to contribute to the conversation. They're going to make fun of me. They're going to judge me. Maybe they're smarter than I am. And my value, there's no value in what I have to say because no one's going to respect it. So I'm just going to be quiet. Just going to be quiet. I'll sit here. I'll be here, but it's just going to be a body. I'm not going to contribute, whether I have an opinion or not. You're not going to hear it because if I do say something, you're going to judge me in some way, or you're going to kind of laugh because maybe you thought it was, like, what does she know? And that didn't make me feel good. So I'd rather say nothing than fear getting judged or ridiculed or feel ridiculed by something that I said or did that wasn't to somebody else's liking or to their whatever, it is, their level of whatever it was.
Right.
So I just withdrew. And that's not really who I am. I'm very outgoing. I have a voice and I have a purpose to be here and to live in this life, this physical world right now. And that's to help.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, go right
No,
ahead.
I was just going to say, I just find it interesting that you felt emotionally like you did not have a voice, and physically you lost your voice. And that's not a coincidence. Those emotions are tied to that physical ailment that you manifested, basically.
I did. People say, why would you think you would manifest something so painful and that you don't want to live anymore, that you're told you can't be with the public, that you're isolated? I didn't know about manifesting at that time. Like I said, I wasn't spiritual. I didn't know any of that. But I will certainly say that you're 100% right. I 100% believe it. How about 1,000,000% believe it? That it was those emotions, and emotions are energy in motion. The energy I was putting out there came back in a very, not such a great way,
Yeah.
in a negative way, because that's what I was putting out. I was running through life fearing everything, fearing speaking, fearing, and really not trusting my own voice, not standing up for myself. And then I didn't have a voice to stand up with. I didn't have, I had nothing anymore. I literally was in four walls for 4 months, isolated. Literally, people like, oh, which I literally no voice, nothing. And so I'm screaming in pain, somebody please help me. But I actually couldn't scream in pain, somebody please help me, because there was literally nothing that came out. I would cry, nothing came out. No voice of pain because there was none. So it's like I said, losing my voice began the journey of finding my voice, and the dis-ease, the unrest that I was having in my life was a mere reflection of the pain that I was suffering in my heart. The life, like, it came inward, outward, and it stopped. It came to a screeching halt. So it was a very painful time. I really don't like sitting in that muck, but I want people to know that no matter where you are, there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is a way out. And that's why I created now the voice blueprint, not just now, it's been for several years, but the voice blueprint, it takes women from vulnerability to empowerment. And I speak with companies and corporations and do one-on-one coaching and group and workshops, because I keep putting my voice out there to help others and find their own. In the end of 2023, I was asked to speak to a real estate company. At first, I'm like, what do I know about real estate? You know what? I know a lot about real estate. The talk that the CEO asked me to give to his company was on mindset. And the real estate that we take up here is the mindset. So that's what I spoke about. And they loved it. One of the gals bought over 200 copies of my book for her team, because it is all about that. And what investment, what real estate are we taking up in our own mind? And dwelling is where you live. What you dwell on expands. Where your focus goes, your energy flows. So where are you dwelling? What are you dwelling upon? And what's taking up the real estate in your mind? Would you invest in that real estate and property? You'd say, heck no, that's a bad property. I don't want to go there. I don't want to live there. Where are you living every day? Where are you living? What tape are you playing over and over and over again? And how much you beating yourself up again and again and again until you're black and blue? What are you doing? Why? It's not serving you. It's not saving you. It's not helping you.
How did you overcome that mindset that was probably ingrained in you from when you were a little girl? How do you overcome to that? Go on to be speaking in front of audiences and writing books and being guest speaker. Like you went from not having your voice to transforming to, speaking your voice to everyone and letting your thoughts out and helping women. Had to make that transformation.
It's like the butterfly, right? A butterfly doesn't just be a butterfly. It's a caterpillar.
Yes.
And it crawls and it probably bumps into a lot of things and then it goes into a chrysalis stage. It's an ooey gooey mucky chrysalis stage where they're squirming and they're transforming. And then they are hanging upside down, hanging upside down. And then eventually a wing starts emerging and then they're squirming out and then they emerge and they're all different. And the chrysalis stage is different for every butterfly. You have some monarchs that are brown and some spotted, and then some others. They're just all different. They're all different. We're all different as human beings. You're asking, how did I overcome it? It was a transformation. It was going within, doing a lot of deep inner work, which I still do daily. Daily. I'm not saying, well, I did it. I'm good. Every day I do work on me. Every day. That is a non-negotiable. Because I know that the more I learn and grow personally and professionally, the more I can support others in their journey. So I can never say, well, I know because I've done it. I've been there, done that. Everyone has a different experience in life. I only speak from my personal experiences. Yet I know that others, especially women, have gone through, or maybe those listening are going through currently. Maybe they hate their job. They're in a thankless marriage. They're a mom and yet a CEO, and they're trying to juggle. How am I going to do this? And I hate my life. And what am I doing? And how am I going to get out of this? And they feel stuck. So I created the voice blueprint from vulnerability to empowerment. It's 5 pillars, VOIC. Within each of the pillars are 3 key components, along with actionable steps. Along with actionable steps that will transform them in that journey. And in the one-on-one coaching I do, it takes them along the journey from vulnerability to empowerment in finding their voice. And it's tailor-made for everybody. I use the modality that I created, the voice blueprint. But just like your fingerprint, your blueprint in life is different than everybody else's. The voice blueprint is going to be different for everybody. The book, Finding Your Voice, Unlock Your Chains, Unleash Your Greatness, it's part of that. It's a big part of that because that's the journey too. And in it, there are takeaway sections.
Oh, I
And
see.
you write your answer, you date it.
Oh,
You
so it's
date
like
it and you write your,
workflow. Okay.
it's a workbook within a book because you
Yeah.
got to do some work in life to
Yeah.
see that transformation. You can't say, well, let me just Google this. How do you do that? How do you get out of it? You've got to go through that process. You really want to get from A to Z yesterday. I know that personally.
Right.
I wanted to go from A to Z. I really did. Just get me to that end point. I want to be there. Please help me get there. In order to get there, if you don't go through the process, it's like, really? Do I have to go through it? Can I just get that? You want to be handed the keys and the answers. I know. I did too. But when you go through it and you grow through it, you can actually understand it and why you went through it. And then you can help other people because of it. You can help yourself because you went through it. It's like, okay, now I have tools. Now I created tools. I created the voice blueprint because I saw the gap. I saw a lot of coaches out there, this coach, that everyone's empowerment, this coach, that I do empowerment too. Yes. Mindset, all these coaches, how do you know which one to choose?
Yeah.
The gap I saw is they're taking you to the place, but where's the gap from where you were to get there? The bridge. So the voice blueprint is the bridge. And it's going to change for you, for that one, or for that one, or for that one. Everyone is different. So as I said, use the modality of the blueprint that I created, and I tailor make it to each person. It's not done for you. It's done with you.
Right.
Because you've got to go through it, but yet you're not doing it alone. I'm with you the whole way through.
That's beautiful. Yeah. That's incredible. What a story. What a story. So now you
Susan, thank you.
decided that you went through this journey and then you decided that you wanted to help other women out there because there are plenty of women that are in your shoes. I actually know some of them that are still working in corporate America and they are working crazy hours and tying themselves up in knots and going through all kinds of changes emotionally, physically, and it's a rough ride. It really is.
I
And
agree.
and a lot of women will end up in a situation similar to yours where you're just I mean, I've known women who've had mental breakdowns, not a physical, but mentally couldn't bring themselves into the office anymore from the stress and the angst
This,
corporate America.
the dis-ease I was speaking about earlier.
Yes. Yes.
You're in a state of unrest. You're
Yeah.
stressed. You're repressing and suppressing emotions because you got to get this done and that done. Like you just keep pushing it down, and then all of a sudden you're getting your back concern, then you're getting migraine, then you're getting this pain and that pain, and then like where did that come from? And then all different things start popping up in your body. You're like, what's that about? And like they happen. Why are they happening to you? They're actually happening for you. It's like,
Right.
why would you say that? Why would some pain happen for me? Well, why did I get this thing that doctors couldn't help me in 2 trips to the ER and they still don't have the cure in 4 months being laid up and I can't even eat or drink or swallow. Why would I do that? No. So that is not what you wish upon yourself. I know. But when you're not slowing down and you don't see a way out, I had to create something for women because I needed something for myself.
Right.
And I knew it was about the voice. It's a throat chakra. We have different chakras for those spiritual people out there. And your throat is the expression. And I wasn't able to express because I blocked it. Not knowing I was blocking it, it became blocked. And I no longer was able to express, release. And so it was tight. And now I can, and now I can serve others with that.
What would be one piece of advice that you would give for the listeners on here? If there's a woman who, your story resonates with them and they're in a similar situation, and it could be work or it could be a relationship that they have maybe with their spouse or, whoever, friends, whoever. What would be like one piece of advice you would tell a woman that she needs to stop doing? Or what would you say?
Yeah. The first thing, honestly, I would say is to reach out. Don't try to do it by yourself because I did. I tried to do it by myself and I needed help.
Yeah.
I didn't know who to turn to, but I eventually, there were people that were there. Thankfully, my best friend was there when I was going through, I wasn't spiritual at that point, but she was there for me. And she was always there for me, no matter what. She would come to my place at that point with a mask on, pre-COVID, 2013. No one knew what was coming all those years
Yeah.
later. And she would cook food for me and go to the market and buy Jello and applesauce and whatever she could because she knew I wasn't able to care for myself. And she would drop it off for me and try to swallow some kind of nourishment because I really couldn't swallow anything. The thing is, I couldn't swallow life. I couldn't swallow life. I couldn't take anything in. It was just too painful. So I am grateful that I'm here with a voice. I'm grateful to you, Susan, for allowing me the opportunity to speak about this because I know the more we speak about things like this that are painful, the more lives we can touch.
Mhm.
I would love to get this book into schools and universities and to women's groups because I know the impact it has already had and how many more people's lives it can effect in such a positive way. It's a, as I said, a workbook within a book. It's paperback, easy read, 83 pages, 11 short chapters. It's made a difference in a lot of people's lives already. So I would love that to keep going and growing, get in multiple languages to to help people around the world, women, especially women around the world, and to be able to speak to more companies and more women's groups, and to get on more platforms to share my voice, because it's not about me. It's about the journey I went through to help others through theirs.
Right. And are you still taking clients like one-on-one coaching? You are.
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes.
So those where people can find you, I'll put all of that information in the notes so they can reach out to you. Is there any final thoughts, any last words of wisdom you'd like to leave with the audience?
Yeah. Believe in yourself, trust that gut feeling, that GPS. It's right here. It's your heart. Come home to yourself. And as I said, reach out. Please don't feel like I could figure this out on my own. I'm smart. I can do it. It's not about intelligence. It really isn't. And I don't mean intelligence, AI intelligence or Google intelligence. I'm talking about your own. It's not about that intelligence. Like, oh, I'm a smart person. I could do this. I thought I could too. I thought I could do it too. I have a degree. I have a bachelor of arts in psychology and science. And I can do it. I've got a degree. I've got a diploma. I studied this. I could do this. You need support. And I did. I think we all do, no matter what you're going through in life, to know that you're not alone in that journey, and to know that someone's there unconditionally, truly unconditionally, to love you through it anyway, no matter what. And I also wanted to say that I have the magazine, the Finding Your Voice magazine. I've got a Facebook community. So for those who may be listening that want to contribute to the magazine, let me know, or want to be part of the Facebook group, let me know. Always looking for contributing authors for articles, or if they're interested. Also for the coaching. As you asked, I definitely have some spots left, and I would love to be able to serve and support those women who are looking for that personalized coaching experience. You'll have it. 100% you'll have it. So yeah, I'm happy to share my voice on any of the stages that you feel that need help, that people need to hear this message of hope and inspiration and empowerment, and to know that there is life after an illness. There is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel, and the tunnel is closer than you think. The light at that end is right here.
That's great. Thank you, Renee. Renee, thank you so much for being here today. I so appreciate you. It was wonderful. I know that you added value to the listeners on here, and I encourage anyone who's listening, if this resonates with you in any way, I will put all of Renee's information in the notes. You could reach out to her. You heard she's taking clients, and I'm sure she could direct you where the book is sold. I guess I could put that in the notes as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I have my calendar link is there too.
Okay.
So you can fill out if you would like to book an appointment with me,
Yeah.
please do. It's a free 30-minute consultation. So please, if you're interested in working together, let me know that. And the book is on my link tree as well.
Okay.
So absolutely, there's ways to get a hold of it. I have an audio version. I've got the Kindle, and I've got the actual book, which I encourage you to get the actual physical book for the reasons that I showed you, that it's a workbook within a book, and you can date it. I encourage you to date the first time you're answering the questions, and go back and see how much you've grown, and give yourself the atta girl when you filled out, or atta boy. There's this, it's for men and women. They can read that. My main niche is women, because I know as a woman what it feels like to physically, mentally, and emotionally not have a voice. So I'm here to give you yours back and empower you along that way. Let's talk. Let's share our voices.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you very much.